and welcome back to justTRU podcast. It's Shemaya.
And this is Joshua.
And where have we been, Josh?
Where have we been? Well, designing a new set, number one. I've been traveling out of the country, conference, and been traveling somewhere else. So traveling a lot at business. So that's what I've been working on. Where have you been, Shamari?
I've been traveling as well. So just took some time to recoup, refresh, and come back renewed and ready to jump into the new topics and get you guys involved.
Sounds good. So what's the topic for today?
We are talking about, is child support enough? Welcome to justTRU podcast.
The reality uncovered.
The reality uncovered.
Spoken by Joshua King Terry.
And Shemaya English.
I'll say it depends on the man's income.
I agree with that.
Right. So I think if he is a high earner and if he's paying, I don't know, $2,000 per kid, I think that's enough.
Per month.
Per month, yes. Per month, per kid, or what have you. I definitely think that's enough. I personally don't believe, honestly, speaking of child support, I think child support should be limited. Even it should not depend on your income. It should be capped somewhere, right? I don't think a kid should have no more than $600-$700 a month for child support. What does a kid want to do with $1,000, $2,000 a month?
This is what I think, not to interrupt you. I think that depending on the dynamic, and that's why I don't feel like it's so cut and dry, right? If there is a father and a mother who are together and the father has, attributed to some type of lifestyle, and right, a kid doesn't physically need itself $2,000, but if the father has been the leader of the household and he's provided a certain type of lifestyle that the child is used to, maybe like tutoring, piano lessons, a certain type of schooling, and then they decide that they want to go separate ways, and now you're only giving her $2,000. If anybody knows anything, that's not going to get you anywhere. So I think that there's a lot of mitigating factors in regards to what the amount would be. So
I think, hold on, I want to jump in there too.
Okay.
I think that might be the issue with a lot of guys with paying child support. If the mom and dad are no longer together, it is not the father's responsibility to continue to provide a lifestyle. I think we should separate what the child needs versus the lifestyle of the mom, right? So when I hear lifestyle, I think as a collective, right? They were a unit at one point. They still are a unit, right? But the parents are no longer together.
Right.
Right. And you mentioned the word lifestyle. I think lifestyle is when you are with me and we're under the same roof, etc. I think child support is separate from, I guess, lifestyle. The child only needs X, right? I'm not providing for your lifestyle. I mean, your as in the woman.
Right. But the examples I used were not in regards to the woman, it was in regards to the child. Like a lifestyle can be a child. Like if a child is used to going to private school and you only give it $2,000 a month and the child can no longer go to private school, that's not for her lifestyle. That's for the child's lifestyle. Piano lessons, tutoring, maybe after school activities. You know how much it costs for these kids to play sports now? Like it's expensive. And so you've attributed to a certain lifestyle for the child, not necessarily the mother or the ex-wife. And so that's the lifestyle that I'm talking about that's being maintained, because in those examples, none of that has anything to do with the woman. It's the child. And I think that when a child is introduced or is raised in a certain environment and dynamic, and because the mother and the father decide to split ways, and now the father is like, whatever it may be, maybe there's acrimonious energy and, they're not seeing eye to eye. And so he's like, well, now you're not going to get anything. Maybe she mismanaged money, whatever the case may be. The person that really gets hurt in all of this is the child, because now the child is going to public school, can't get a tutor anymore, has to drop out of football because mom can't afford it with the $2,000 that she's getting every month. And that affects the child, not just the mother.
Right. So I think, again, lifestyle, you did name piano lessons, sports, etc., right? Extracurricular activities. So because the dynamic of our relationship has changed, right? One could say the dynamic of the finances should change.
I disagree, because it has nothing
Of course you're going to disagree.
Well, hear me. It has nothing to do with me being a woman. It has to do more so with the child, because the child didn't ask for this situation. Right. They were born out of this relationship, this arrangement. Right. And so if as a father you set a certain standard in your household for your children, no matter what happens with the mother, the standard shouldn't change.
So I think this is very interesting. As a father, now we set the certain standards, right? But let most women say it's their child, right? So I think
I don't agree with that. So.
Right. But I think most, right, as a man, most women would say this is my child, like however they kind of word it at the end of the day. You said set the standards. Yeah, I'm setting the standards when it's beneficial for the wife or the woman and the child. It becomes different dynamics when we are no longer together at play, right? I'm not saying uh, the kid should forfeit their lifestyle or the things that I provide. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is the dynamics should potentially change. So where I was paying for we'll say piano lessons, swing practice, ballet or football or jujitsu or something like that, right? If I'm paying all of those things, I'm going to expect, right? If I'm paying you $2,000 a month in child support, right? I'm going to expect maybe you take half of the payments, I take half of the payments. I'm not going to pay all of those things. I don't see why a man should pay all of those things when they are no longer together. So we can still maintain the child's lifestyle, right? And their activities, but the dynamics of our relationship has changed. So therefore, if the dynamics of the relationship has changed, the finances have changed, right? And that's not a conversation obviously we sit down and have with the child.
Right.
It's a conversation between man and woman. So I pay you $2,000 a month. I'm willing to cover, you know, jujitsu and swim practice, and you can cover the rest, the other two activities. Or maybe at this point, maybe the kid has to pick between one or two activities instead of doing four. You do 2, right? Because this is the difference, and I'm speaking from experience. When a man goes through the court system, right? I went through the court system. The court system has a built-in bias against men, all men, no matter their race, color, or creed, and especially black men, right? When I went through the court system, I spent $70,000 just in legal fees alone that I paid for out of my pocket, and I lost $1.2 million, not due to the court system, but the stress going through the process, establishing rights to my child. It's different if a woman is cordial, right? Both parties are cordial. They can be adults. They can go their separate ways, right, and then work something out outside of the court system. But that's not the case when it comes to, especially African Americans. We're not, like how you're saying it, like we're not communicative. We don't come together and have dialogue outside of the court system. Typically, from my experience, the woman is upset, frustrated, emotional, and delusional, and running off of what she's hearing from her friends and what she should expect. And that's not the reality. Now, if two people could have a dialogue between each other like we're doing and say, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. But I think you mentioned lifestyle, and I think all women think lifestyle. And I think that has everything to do with you being a woman. You think lifestyle, right? Instead of separating it from the kid. Yeah, you name the activities for the kid, but I also think subconsciously women think about themselves, and that's why you use the term lifestyle.
Well, maybe that's the wrong. Maybe caliber of life is a better way to position that, because again, like I can't speak for anybody but myself in this specific space, because I'm not like the average woman. I don't need you to sustain me, right? Because I've always sustained myself. So anything my thing is, as a father, what type of life do you want for your child,
So,
right? Like if you know financially I cannot do it, right?
Right.
And you can.
Right.
It has nothing to do with us.
Right.
What type of father do you want to be? What type of life do you want to provide for your child?
So I agree with what you're saying, but again, and I think every woman, especially every African American woman, will say the same thing that you said. I don't need a man to sustain me. You do though.
And I'm talking about financially. I'm not saying I don't need a man. I absolutely need a man. What I'm saying is,
I'm talking strictly financially. You do, because if you didn't, why can't we figure something out outside of the court system?
I'm talking about if there was no child involved.
What do you mean?
So, in the example that you're using, right? I don't need you to sustain my lifestyle as an individual, right? Because I'm a grown up and I can take care of myself. I'm talking about in reference to child support. The child support is for the child, in my understanding, right? So
Right.
for the monetary money I'm asking for the child has nothing to do with my lifestyle. That's why I changed what I was saying.
Got it.
Because I don't need you to sustain me financially in the agreement that we're having for child support. It's
Right.
for the child.
Right.
So I don't need you to maintain a lifestyle that I want because that's for me, right? Like you said, the finances have changed. So if we were together or if we were married and you have set up some tone for a certain lifestyle, I don't need you to continue that. I just need you to make sure the child is good.
So watch this. Have you ever lived a certain type of lifestyle that was beyond what you could provide for yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you lived a lifestyle that you can't provide for yourself.
I have, yes.
Right. And what I'm saying is you're okay with going back to your regular lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. I'm going to say you are the exception to the rule because most women, I don't see that for most women. If a man is providing a certain type of lifestyle for a woman, right? So your reality goes from here, then it goes to here.
Correct.
Right? And the guy is maintaining this for you. Right?
Absolutely.
And the woman is doing her thing and, et cetera, right? And then they no longer are together anymore.
Correct.
Right? And the dynamics of that lifestyle has changed.
Absolutely.
Women won't let that go without fighting. That's why the court systems exist.
I mean, I think that there are women. I think that social media emphasizes and highlights and puts spotlights on women like that. But I have experienced different. And like the everyday woman, some women just want peace. Some women just want their children to really be taken care of. It's not about you sustaining the lifestyle that you that you picked for me. That you got me accustomed to. And I understand that that's what society will have you believing, that there are women who are going to fight for that reality that you created, and I won't.
There are a lot of women that will fight for that reality because, you might be the exception to the rule, but I'm speaking general now. Women will fight you tooth and nail to maintain that reality. That's literally why the court system exists. All women talk about, especially modern women in today's time, only talks about a man's finances, right? Especially in our community. When it comes to African Americans, it is strictly about finances. That's what it is. It's not about morality. It's not about peace. It's not about happiness. It's not about love. It's not about problem solving. It's not about agreeing to disagree. It's not about, you know what? You said something I didn't like and vice versa, but coming back to the table to build legacy. It's all about what can I get out of you now? That's why African Americans always lead with their finances, right? And if you're not making 6 figures, 6 foot, and a 6-pack, you're not shit. This is the standard that modern women have put in society. So it's difficult for me to listen. Again, we're talking about you, outlier. But most women, not like that. Like, and it's, me, I'm not even on social media and all that stuff, right? But the stuff that I see.
Right. And I think that's a social media perspective. Because, like, I'm not saying there's not a large, vast, amount of people that are on social media and that heavily influences, our society today. But I do believe that there are people who maybe don't care enough to put their information on social media that don't feel the same way. My profession allows me to see people in an intimate space financially. Right. And so I have experienced contradictory to what you're saying. Like, there are people who do. I have had multiple women who sit at my desk and like, I just want him to pay for these kids. Like, and I'm talking about men who, were making 7 figures and then they do a divorce and they want to give her $100,000. And I'm just like, okay, what is she gonna do? Like, what are you, like, literally crying at my table. 4 kids been a stay-at-home wife because he wanted her to take care of the house, he wanted her to take care of the kids, and now he's, for whatever reason they weren't able to, continue their marriage, and now he's like, no, I'm not taking care of you anymore. And okay, but at the end of the day, it's not about her being taken care of. It's about the children. And as a single mother, I think that men don't have a real grasp on what it really takes to take care of a child outside of the monetary, the toll it takes. Like, I think it's a man will call a mother and say, oh, has the child done this? Has the child done that? Has the child done that? Realizing she's one person, right? Don't even mention that there are multiple children involved, right? So you are expected to be the provider now, and also the nurturer, and also the protector, and also all these other things, because now maybe you're the custodial parent. So you're literally entrusted with all the hats for the child. And the father, because he's decided to give you some child support, that's supposed to suffice for all the other things the child needs. And that's not realistic. That's why child support is not enough. It's just not.
Right. So you said a couple of things. Your profession,
Mhm.
look at people's finances.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned the scenario that you gave,
Right.
that I'm no longer taking care of your lifestyle. Like, I'm no longer providing a lifestyle.
Mhm.
Right. What I'm trying to tell you, you said as a single mom, that
Right.
was your perspective.
Right.
As a successful entrepreneur, right? Me, right? When a man say he's no longer providing your lifestyle, you don't know the sacrifices that he's making to provide the lifestyle for the wife or partner, right? And the
Correct.
3 or 4 kids,
Mhm.
right? This is what women don't understand. Men put in so much work. I'm talking about real men. I'm not talking about
The others.
right, the others, right? I'm talking about real men. I stay up around the clock making sure, moving money around, making sure investments are there. Not for me, for my kids, for my household,
Mm-hmm.
for her mother household in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and for my mom household, right? So when we provide, like, we sacrifice and we put ourselves on the back burner, that is draining, right? That is tiring, right? We work 16-hour days. Sometimes I'm up for a day just working and looking at stuff and thinking. So while everybody's asleep, everybody's tucked in a bed, everybody's quiet, I'm up working. So it's difficult. It's difficult for me to, like, listen. Not difficult, but it's interesting from your perspective as a single mom, and then my perspective as a successful entrepreneur. On top of that, I will say this: I stayed at home with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She's only 2. I stayed at home with her for over a year,
Mm-hmm.
while going through the court case, while spending the $70,000, while being a stay-at-home father. Right? I taught her ABCs. I prayed over her. I changed Pampers, gave her medicine, fixed food.
Can I make a point?
Huh?
Can I make a point?
Yeah.
You also mentioned that you lost $1 million in all of that, because it's an extremely taxing job. Like, you had to do all of those things and be an entrepreneur and be a father and fight in the court. Like, and you weren't able to
But
be
why-
your optimal self
right.
in that.
I lost the $1.2 million, right? Because of the unnecessary stress from the woman.
Right. I'm
Right.
not saying that was a contributor to that.
No, I'm telling you, that's exactly what it came from.
Right.
Right. I'm not blaming her about the situation, but
Right.
if we could have worked something out outside of that, right, then things would have been a lot smoother. But that's beside the point. The point that I'm trying to make is this. So not only do I provide, I'm a present father, right? So I don't just believe in making money, giving it to the woman, and let her pay the bills and stuff. No, that's not what I stand on, right? I believe in being a present father. I believe in putting time in with my kid. I believe in family dinners, nice restaurants, reading, prayer time, movie night. I believe in all of these things. And on top of providing for her present and building a future for her, for my legacy through her. What's the textbook definition of what's a single parent? Will you take care of the kid, or like what? Tell me what, like.
I think maybe a better term is the custodial parent.
What's the
Because a person can be single, like, as far as their relationship status. I'm talking about the custodial parent, meaning that the parent that has the child over 75% of the time. And so what I'm saying is, in the analogy or in the example that you use, where now the finances have changed, now both parents are financially responsible, there is going to be a heavier load for the custodial parent, because they are physically there. Every snotty nose, every today I got bullied by the kid. That takes not just a financial toll, a physical toll, a mental toll, a spiritual toll, on the custodial parent. So yes, the finances may be there, and now we both have to contribute to the finances where maybe you didn't have to before, but you have to also be 100% because you're there. So maybe they get to go to dad's house on the weekend, and then of course this is dad's house, so now we're having fun because we haven't spent time together. So now we're doing all these fun things, but then you have to go back, and I'm doing homework, and I'm dealing with this.
But see, I think, but again, for me being a father, right? This is what I do. A man that just provides finances to me is not a father, right? Like that's a dad,
right? Well, the topic was is child support enough,
right? No, I think we started talking about other things that led. I think the topic was is child support enough, but then I think we start digging into other things,
right? But even with us digging into other things, it goes back to child support not being enough because as a custodial parent, yes, the other party may be paying child support, but the support that they're financially paying is not enough to rear the child in the way that maybe initially the child was introduced to being raised. It's just not enough.
I think you're not tracking the conversation. If it's just, so let's separate it. If we're just talking about just child support, which you just said, right. I just said I think we went deeper past that. And then you said we're just talking about child support.
I was bringing it back. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. So if it's just child support, and if a man is paying $1,000, $2,000 per kid, I think that's enough.
What you're doing is what you say that people do, is they make it about the finances.
No, I'm not making it about the I'm just being very clear. You said you were reeling it back into the topic of child support, right? Which is the finance.
Yeah, but it's not making it about. But it's not enough, though. It's not enough. It's not enough, right? So you're saying the amount of the child support. I'm not talking about the amount of the child support. I'm talking about it being enough, like it actually being enough to contribute to a household that you're no longer a part of. Like the monetary amount, like $1,000, $2,000. Okay, that's fine. But I'm talking about you contributing to the life of your child. Is that enough?
I think you're missing my point. If you're paying $1,000 or $2,000 a month, is enough child support financially. I also said, being a man, you should be active and you should be present. So I'm saying two different things. So the child support, me paying $1,000 or $2,000 a month in child support should be enough for a child. You are a child. You need Pampers, you need milk, you need food, and whatever.
That's just the beginning.
Right. This is just the beginning, right? And whatever you need, right? That father should still be active. Like I said, I'm an active father. I travel from one country to another country. I spend a month and a half there. It costs me $8,000 to $9,000 for me to go here to there. I still pay her child support. I still also, not only do I pay child support, this is what I do. Not only do I pay child support, I buy our children's clothes seasonally. We go to the outlet all the time. I spend $600 to $700 to $800 on the clothes. I buy her shoes. So
those are all still monetary things. You can keep bringing it back to a you're the one who said in the African American community we make it about finance, and I keep reiterating that.
Somebody, you just didn't hear me. I go from one country to another. That's not a monetary thing.
And then you tie in how much money it costs.
But I'm explaining what I do as a father being active. Right. So I'm saying I pay child support, and on top of that, I spent $8,000 to get there. It's not just a monetary thing. I'm physically going from one country across the border to the next.
Listen, nobody's doubting that's what you're doing. I'm just saying you made a reference to talk about us making it financial, and then you're talking about how much it costs.
Because it costs money to get to one side of the border to the next. I'm not teleporting. Like,
nobody's arguing that it costs money, Josh. That's not the point. The point is your child doesn't know how much money it costs to go to Canada. She just knows if her dad was there or not. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Wait, you can't. What? Obviously, that's why I go from one country to another to deal with my child. It doesn't matter what it costs.
Listen, we're not talking about you specifically. I'm just using that as an example because that's the example that you use. I'm talking about in the context of the conversation, children need more than $1,000 or $2,000. You mentioned you are an active father. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about when there is a custodial parent and they are taking on the bulk of the responsibility and they're splitting the finances but taking on the bulk of the responsibility of rearing the child. That's why my statement remains the child support is not enough because it takes more than the money to raise the child. That's the point I'm making. I'm not arguing the monetary value of your trips. I'm not arguing your activeness as a father. None of those things are the point.
No, what you said, no, let's be clear. What you said was this. You're leading, this is what you said. You said, Josh, in the African American community, we talk about finances. And you said you're doing what you talked about. That's essentially what you just said.
I did.
Right. Yeah. What I'm saying is you completely missed what I just said. Okay. What man do you know to go from one country to another to be with his kid, to go across the border, to get the child, bring him back, spend $70,000 in court, lost $1.2 million just to be with his child? I'm literally saying child support is not enough. What I'm saying is if you pay $1,000 to $2,000, that is enough for that child. Also, be a present, active father. What I'm saying, it does take finances. Nobody's footing my bill for the trip. So it takes me sacrificing, working, making enough money to provide my lifestyle, build a legacy for my child, pay child support, and also go across the border to get my child. So it does take money. What I'm saying is I go beyond the Call of Duty and don't just pay child support, because child support is not enough for me as her father. So I go from one country to another to bring my kid back and forth to see my family here in Atlanta so they could build a relationship with my child. That's because what I choose to do for my child, because I am an active, present father. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Okay, I want us to be clear because you said the money part. That's not the main driving factor of why I did what I did. If it was just the money part, I could have kept my $70,000 that I spent on lawyer fees. Could have kept my $1.2 million, and I could have said, "Hey, by all means, just take the kid and you just do what you want to, and I'll see you when I see you." That's not what happened. But if a man is paying $1,000 to $2,000 a month in child support, that financial dollar amount is sufficient for that child, in my personal opinion. That doesn't mean that you don't get to be, that gives you an opportunity not to be active, not to be present, not to be a father. There is a difference between being a father and being a dad. I am a father. Being a dad is where you only give child support and you think that's sufficient enough. But if a man is giving $1,000, I think that's good. Because of the stereotype that comes with us as being deadbeat dads, not wanting to pay child support, and not want to be active fathers. There's a whole nother ideology in that, and that's the woman weaponizing the child against black men, trying to use the child to control a black man. So that's that whole component. And what I'm saying is most races don't go through that. Most races know their father, know their mother, and they have some type of relationship, even if they're not together. They can come together and deal with each other. In a black household, it's not like that. It's a bunch of emotions. It's a bunch of drama. It's a bunch of trauma. For whatever reason, people can point back to slavery, whatever the reason is. I'm not here to talk about the specifics of the reason. I'm just talking about the symptoms of the reason why we are the way that we are. So you carry that trauma in the courtroom. Women make up lies about men in the courtroom, and men in the state of Georgia, men have no rights to their children. That's a whole nother catalyst millions of people are facing, and they don't even know that exists. Men have zero rights to the kid. The court system knows that, the attorneys knows that, and they use that to the advantage of the woman to get the kid so the woman can control the dynamics of the child. These are all facts. It has nothing to do with my experience or who I date or anything. Those are statistics. Those are facts. Those are laws. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And I'm saying more black women are more combative about this issue, where I think other races think about the family dynamics first and a father being present, because they know they know the statistics. If a father is not present, inmates in jail Most of them grew up without their fathers. So when your father is present, it decreases the likelihood of you committing a crime and being incarcerated. Like, fathers are very important. In today's society, we act like they don't exist. We act like fathers, especially in our household. This is why the kids are out of control, because the fathers are not there.
I don't disagree with that.
We don't even think black men are important anymore. We don't think black fathers are important. We don't. Black women don't think black men are important. Do you agree or you disagree with that?
I have mixed emotions about that because I think that's just it's a layered, complex statement. And
Okay.
I think that when your experience of a black man has always been a Ray Ray or a Pookie, yeah, they lack importance. I'm just being transparent, really. Like, if you have never experienced a quality black man because your environment or your circumstances have not allowed you to experience things different,
Right.
then that would be your perspective. Absolutely.
Right.
I don't value a Ray Ray or a Pookie. I don't either. But my experience, and there are other black women whose experiences have not been a Ray Ray or a Pookie. Or maybe I experienced Ray Ray and Pookie and a different type of black man as well. And I have a basis of analysis. And I don't feel that black men are not important. I understand that those black men lack guidance. Those black men or black males lack some perspective, so many things that a black man needs to be what we would consider a black man. And so, a good black man, rather. And so, I will say that the women who are walking around that are misguided and misled is because they haven't been in the presence of a real black man. Because when you're in the presence of a real black man and you experience him, doesn't matter how damaged you are. Like, it might be a little bit of adversity initially, but if you allow yourself to really be in the presence of one and allow him to lead and guide and show you, your perspective will change because that's just a natural dynamic. But if you've never done that, then yeah, the black man you've been exposed to, that fits the narrative. Absolutely.
Let me tell you why I completely disagree. In theory, that sounds really good. But in practicality, in reality, that's not the case. I think a lot of women, black women, come across good black men because they're not 6 foot. They don't make 6 figures, right? Then he doesn't count as a man. This is the delusional standards of a woman. And to your point of Pookie and Ray Ray, right? Right? You're saying all that I saw is Pookie and Ray Ray, right? You have developed a habit in your subconscious mind to treat every black man like Pookie and Ray Ray because you're not healed, because that's trauma, right? So because you have trauma, you think every man is Pookie and Ray Ray. Every man is not Pookie and Ray Ray.
I'll disagree with that.
Right, but you can't. This is my point. Black people cannot separate how they feel with their trauma to know every black man is not the same as Pookie and Ray Ray. So you don't even know how to treat a good black man because all you dealt with is Pookie and Ray Ray. That's not my fault as a black man.
Right.
All you dealt with is Pookie and Ray Ray. Guess what? I'm not Pookie and Ray Ray. And as a good black man, as a great black man, right? Because you dealt with Pookie and Ray Ray, I'm not going to deal with you.
Okay. What do you guys think?